but the feeling I get is so much bigger than even the time that it took. It will help you measure the peace that you have. It'll measure clarity that you have around it, and it will give you so much less stress. Hello, and welcome to the Encourager Podcast, where we talk about real life and real systems so you can joyfully harmonize both home and work. I'm your host, Rebekah Scott. I'm a wife, mom, designer, coach, and lifelong systems thinker. And I help overwhelmed women build simple, sustainable rhythms that actually work for their real lives. Around here, we talk about priorities, pre-decisions, and practical tools that bring peace instead of pressure. Because you don't need more hustle, you need better systems and more grace. Today's episode is a good one. Hello, encouragers. On this week's podcast, we're going to talk about one of my favorite subjects who still remains to be my go-to every single week for how I get as much done as I do get done. And it's not about hustling or even about productivity. This is just a hack and really a method that has worked for me for years, especially because I work in a manufacturing world where I produce the purses and accessories. And I also have a strong encourager brand. So I need to batch things together in order to get it done. So that's right. This week's episode is all about batching. Now, you've heard me talk about it throughout all the hundreds of episodes now. And it still is one of my go-tos when I'm feeling overwhelmed or I'm like, why do I feel so scattered? I have not batched things together. And so I need to come up with a system for these things that are falling out of place and figure out how I will batch them. It is just probably outside of my systems, the second go-to for a hack or tool or system, if you will, that I know works time and time again. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever ended the day exhausted, but not exactly sure what you did all day? You were busy and you were even productive. You even had some check marks on your to-do list and you answered things and you reacted to things and you handled things. But your brain feels fried and somehow the important work still feels unfinished. If that's you, I want you to know something right out of the gate. You are not failing and you are not lazy and you're definitely not bad at managing your time. Please hear that. You're just asking your brain to do something it was never designed to do, switching modes all day long. It can't do it. So today we're going to talk about batching, not as a productivity hack, but as a kindness to your mind, a way to reduce decision fatigue. And honestly, it's a way to breathe again and look inside your work and go, yes, okay, this is possible to do both home and work life with more joy. Most of us aren't overwhelmed because we're doing too much. We're overwhelmed because we're doing too many different kinds of things all mixed together. Amen. For example, you answer an email, then you switch to laundry, then you're back to a text, and then there's that meeting, and then there's dinner, and then you got to create some content. Oh, and then you got to do the dishes. And then there's one more email, but just real quick. Every single switch costs mental energy and bandwidth. And when we live in reaction mode, our brains never get to settle into one lane long enough to feel progress or even peace. So batching simply says, what if I let my brain do one kind of thinking at a time and see what progress I can make? Batching is grouping similar tasks together and doing them in focused blocks of time. Now, this does not mean it's rigid. It doesn't mean it's hustle culture. It doesn't mean it's 6 hours of block time. It doesn't even sometimes mean 6 minutes of block time. But it does optimize your life so that you have less brain fatigue and decision fatigue after making all of these switches all day long. Batching really does say, I'll answer emails at this time. I'll create content at this time. I'll handle admin at this time. I'll make the meals at this time. I'll do the laundry at this time. That way, for the rest of the day, your brain gets to rest because, first of all, there's been a pre-decision and you know that you will batch these things together. So let's make this really practical. Instead of creating content every single day, deciding what to post, filming one thing, editing one thing, uploading one thing, I batch those together with the exception of Instagram stories. Those have to be a daily action for me. I know that you can pre-do them, but I usually actually do those daily. That's my one exception to this example. So what I do is I'll film probably 30 to 40 videos on a Tuesday morning. That is my batched in time, my blocked in time that I will batch together all of the videos I need to do for both RSD and for the Encourager. So it's the same setup, it's the same lighting, it's the same energy. I have prepared for it all day. Then I batch the editing part as well. I wait until I've recorded all those. Then I upload them to my folder for my assistant to help me with the editing things. Then we talk about it a little bit. I send her a video. Yes, you better believe I have a little list of what I do, but I've batched that all together. So that takes me, usually depending on how much is coming out for both RSD and the Encourager, usually takes me a couple hours. That beats 20 to 30 minutes every single day, starting from scratch and figuring out what I'm going to do for that day, right? I have the list, I've blocked in the time, and I've batched it together. It's such a big win. I do still think about content throughout the week, even though I'm not recording it. So I might put it in a phone note. I might email it to myself. I might text it to myself. I'm like, I should record a video on that. But I don't record the video because I have batched and blocked in the time for later. So I can have the idea and still give it some time and some space to think it through if I'm driving or something like that. But I'm not going to do it because I'm going to do it when I batch it together on those Tuesday mornings. The mental freedom in this matters so much. It matters just as much as the time saved, because I can think clear. I have a home for where those thoughts and those methods are going to go because they're going to be batched together on Tuesday mornings. Another example would be for me, and you've heard me say this several times on both our socials and on the podcast here, and that is I make my decisions for food by 9 a.m. This is really a form of batching. So I know, okay, I'm going to make my decisions for food. And sometimes that means getting out the ingredients, and sometimes it means just making the decision. Usually for me, because I've been practicing this for so many years, I do get out the ingredients or it's pre-made. I make the meal so that I can cook it later in the day. So I might make it at 8 a.m. and then by 9 a.m. I do know what we're going to have and all of that. That is batching. I batch together the food for that day by 9 a.m. So here's a real quick way and a takeaway for you guys to do in the first 10 minutes of listening to the podcast. Remember, I try to give you that real tangible takeaway after listening to the podcast. You could practice batching by sitting down for just 5 to 10 minutes. And I want you to journal what are the things you have going on that week. Maybe this is for work and maybe this is for home life, but just brain dump it. Just drop it. Then from that brain dump, pull out the things that are like-minded. Pull out the things that go together. And they say when you're organizing, okay? What are those things? It's like, well, I know that I have a big project for work, and maybe some of the things that you wrote around it actually all involve that. So what if you blocked in a 4-hour time, batch that project together so you could have more clarity on when it's going to happen and how it's going to happen because you batched it together. So a brain dump can help you in the batching process because it just gets all those thoughts in your head down on paper, and then you can naturally start grouping them together and batching them at once after you have grouped them. Another method that you could do is you could journal what a week looks like for you. This is something I do frequently with my one-on-one coaching is I make them journal their entire week so that we can take a look at what their week is like and where we can find some things that are similar, put them together and batch them for a certain time rather than trying to do them every single day. And so those are 2 pro tips to starting the batching process. If you are thinking, I actually am interested in this, I need some more mental bandwidth, I feel overwhelmed, I know I'm getting a lot done, but it doesn't feel like progress, my brain is fried, all of those thoughts. You really need to practice the batching things together, and you'll have so much more freedom in your brain and also in your calendar because you've batched things together. Hey, Encouragers, hope you're enjoying this episode. We'll be right back after this short break. This episode of The Encourager is brought to you by Rebekah Scott Designs, where we create thoughtfully designed purses and accessories that support your real life, not just your outfit. Every bag is designed with intention, handcrafted right here in South Dakota, and built around the belief that beauty and function should work together. From custom fabrics and linings to leathers, zippers, and really cool features, you get to design a piece that truly fits your life. Visit designyourownbag.com to create your own custom bag and use code ENCOURAGER for $10 off your purchase. Batching gives you things you don't always expect. First of all, it gives you consistency. People always say, how do you record so many videos? Because you heard me say how many. I'm like, well, first of all, I've batched them together. And second of all, consistency. When you do them over and over and over again, you kind of figure out where your quirks are in a bad way and in a good way. So you get better at it and you get consistent. And I can set up my environment around the filming very quickly. I know where the extension cord is. I know where the mic is. I know what the scripts are. I know all these things. That consistency helps make it faster, and not to make it faster just to get it done, but to get it done so that I can move on to other things. Ideas will flow more easily when you stay in one mode longer than 10 minutes. Part of the reason why my content, I can get up to 30 to 40 videos is because even in the process, even though I have a list of what I have to record, I think of another one because I'm in the content mode. And so I'm like, okay, actually, this would make sense to do it alongside this. And so I have all this freedom because I'm concentrating on one thing at a time. Here are a couple of things that you could batch together, but I would love for you guys to share on social media, on our Instagram this week, what you're learning to batch, because it can go all over the board about what you're doing in a group. Email is one of it. If you check it 2 to 3 times a day, what if you narrow that to just 1 or 2 times a day? That way you're not checking it constantly. You could batch together your admin tasks, meaning invoices, bills, maybe it's expenses, maybe it's follow-ups. That could be a whole admin task right there, all in one block. My admin day typically is Thursday. Maybe you're going to batch together learning. This is huge, especially because if your brain is focused on, I am going to learn today, you get in that mode. And you know what I'm talking about? You put your coffee or you put your tea out and you have a certain spot where you're going to get comfortable and you've got your notebook or maybe your digital device and you are going to learn. When you block that in, you're going to learn it that much deeper because you're not doing 1,000 things at once. You're not learning while you do something else. You're like, I am learning. Maybe you batch together your meals. So for me, I decide a week in advance, but I do it daily. I don't do the meal prep on Sundays for the whole entire month. It did not work for me. I don't know why. I can't even tell you that. I just know this one does work for me. So what would it look like for you guys to maybe batch together your meals? Maybe you just prep them once on Sundays. Maybe you prep them once in the mornings at 8 a.m. That's my method. Then you can breathe all week long. Maybe you just make the decision that every day, or you make the decision on Sundays, these are going to be the meals for the week. But what would it look like to batch your meal planning? Also, I batch all of my work for RSD because it's such a manufacturing. Like we manufacture purses and accessories. So on Monday, I am surging and kit making. On Tuesday, I'm doing content. On Wednesday, I'm doing fit and finish. Batching those things together when one purse comes in out of order. Let's say it's got a lining over here, but it's got a purse over here. And I'm looking at it and if I quick do it, because I could quick sew that purse up. It only takes me about 3 minutes to do fit and finish. But if I do that, that is part of that back and forth. That won't do me any good. So I put it where it belongs for fit and finish on Wednesday. So there's a little bit of a pre-decision there. It's like, nope, that is a fit and finish. That will happen on Wednesday at about 1 o'clock. I'm putting it in the area where I will do that. I'm not going to quick finish it. And that lets my brain relax. It already has a place where it is batched together. So here's what I want you to do, you guys. I want you to choose one repetitive task in this next week, and I want you to block 2 to 3 hours to do that one task. What is it? Everybody's going to look different, so I'd love if you guys would share with us, but everybody's going to look different. Look at your week. What is one repetitive task that you are doing over and over every single day that you could instead batch for maybe it's 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours together, and you're blocking this to do that one repetitive task? What would that be? And here's like next level. You could do a week's worth of that task, whatever it is, in just one sitting. That's my sound effect for amazingness. Once you really get into the batching, you realize, oh man, this is so much easier to flow and get things done and feel accomplished because it's all being done at once instead of a little bit here and a little bit there. And then I want you to notice after you've done this one repetitive task and you've batched it together, notice how it feels. Not just how long it takes, but notice how it feels. And that's the bigger takeaway every time. If you ask me to time something, you know I do that. But the feeling I get is so much bigger than even the time that it took. It will help you measure the peace that you have. It'll measure clarity that you have around it. And it will give you so much less stress. You don't need to batch everything. We're not going to do that because then it's unattainable, right? Remember my rule for 80%. Batch as much as you can. Batch 80% of your work. Then that 20% you have for wiggle room. But once you've discovered the power of batching, you might take that 20% and go to 100 because you're like, man, this just works. I feel so much clearer with this. But you do need to start somewhere. So that's my rule of 1%. Just start it tiny. Let's say this week it's just going to be email. Or let's say this week it's just going to be about your food system. You're going to do meal planning in one sitting. What is that one tiny step you can take in whatever system you choose? And then you're only going to take it to 80%. You're not going to perfect it. You're going to leave a little room there. And then you're going to feel the relief of what batching really does for your weekly schedule. Encouragers, the goal isn't to work more hours. Gross. That is not the goal. The goal is to be fully present in the hours you already have. Batching gives you focused intensity and then real mental rest. Real rest comes after it. Your future self will thank you for the consistency, and your present self will thank you for the breathing room. And remember, like I said in the beginning, you guys, you're not failing, you're not lazy, you're not bad at time management. You just need more discipline and a little bit more batching to feel the rest and the joy that you deserve. God will bless when you look at your week ahead and the things that you can control and put them together. You'll leave more room to concentrate on the people and the relationships in your life when you're not thinking about the to-do list in your head. Okay, right? I can't wait to find out what you guys are batching. So make sure to contact us on social media or email or go to theencouragerpodcast.com. I just want to know, what are some things that you are batching that is allowing you the freedom that we are craving and the consistency so you can spend more time in your awesome relationships and roles that God has given you. Until next time, encouragers, we got this because He's got us. If this podcast has encouraged you or helped you in any way, I'd be so grateful if you'd subscribe and leave a 5-star review. It truly helps more women find these conversations. And if you're listening thinking, I don't need more motivation, I need someone to help me figure out my actual life, that's exactly what I do. Through Encourager Academy and one-on-one coaching, I help women build personalized systems for their home, work, and life rhythms. No cookie-cutter routines, but structures that fit your unique personality, your season, and your capacity. You can explore the Academy or book a free discovery call at theencouragerpodcast.com. Let's take your next small step forward together.